It's been a great year. We have seen much to give thanks for. The month of prayer, house party, returning to 2 services. But above all, I detect that the Lord is slowly but surely reviving our love in Christ and trust in a good God who loves us by name. It's been a year of joy because of our partnership in the gospel. And one clear evidence of this partnership has been in our giving and the way the Lord has provided for us financially against human expectation. So we are in fact on target to balance the books this year, which is remarkable. Our verse for the year is, "For me to live is Christ and to die is gain." To live is Christ. Trust the God of creation who sustains all things, not just logically, but lovingly. It is to move through worry to trust, through doubt to faith, knowing that in Christ God cares for us as much as He does His Son, Jesus. To die is gain is the answer to our greatest fear. The promise that, for the believer, death is not the end, but the beginning. This verse is not, as is often misunderstood, a direction or command. Rather, it is a reassuring statement of truth that points us to our status in Christ. It's where our heart is focused. It's where our trust is focused. Yet trust can be elusive. When we feel like someone has let us down, a friend, a church, even this church, it's like a knife in our hearts. It leaves us feeling alone and disillusioned. And once someone has let you down in a big way, it's hard to trust again. It's why it was so good to begin this year as a church on Sunday evenings in the book of Philippians. It was a timely focus on Christ. For many of us, I believe it's begun teaching us afresh to trust. To meditate on Jesus is good for the soul of our church. The Apostle Paul reminds us that it's when we live for Christ that worship becomes our greatest joy. It's when we live for Him that we think nothing of sacrificial giving. So what might it look like for Christ Church Forward to respond this year in the light of Christ's own sacrifice? Many of us have a heart to see the appointment of a woman in a senior role to fill the obvious pastoral gap. When you add up all the costs for this role, it amounts to around £60,000. We already need to increase our annual income for 2024 by £140,000 to keep ministry running for the coming year, making a total of £200,000. And this budget relies on using up our surplus reserves of £70,000. So looking beyond 2024, this means our giving will need to continue to increase, as we will not be able to rely on reserves in subsequent years. I'm mindful that our response through our giving will look different for each one of us. It might be that you feel like your contribution won't make much of a difference, but actually there's a role for all of us to play. Some may be able to give more and some less, but we can all play a part. In his concluding remarks to the Philippians, Paul thanks the church for their generosity towards gospel ministry. He says it is like a sweet-smelling sacrifice roasting on the altar, filling the air with a fragrance pleasing to God. And then he adds a wonderful promise, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." As we look up to Christ with all that we have in Him, can I invite us prayerfully as a church to step ahead with faith into this coming year? Please use the online form on the website to respond. Thank you for your gospel partnership.